What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Dirty Mike and I'm back from Miami, so we've got to do a recap. But before I get into a breakdown of the event, I want to start out with a big thank you to all you guys that were there. New faces that I met, and I want to give EA a shout out as well. When EA does something good, I like to give them props. When they do something stupid, like when they put fog into FIFA, I think it was a couple years ago they added fog. That guy needed to go. He needed to be fired. Whoever was in that meeting, it's like, let's make this harder to watch. The point I'm making is when they make dumb decisions, I speak out on it. When they make smart decisions, I speak out on it. But this is game changing in terms of esports. And I worked as an administrator at this event. So I was not playing in the event. If you recall earlier in the year, I didn't think this was going to be what it has become. So when EA announced the competitive game mode, I didn't take it that serious. I was live streaming, I was interacting with you guys, I didn't finish my games, I didn't try to qualify. And that's not an excuse, that's not where I invested my time. I was uploading YouTube videos with tips and tutorials, and I didn't realize this was gonna spin off into player profile build up, which is what's needed in esports, and major prize pools, and just the tournament structure and the live stream and the production value. But I just wanted to explain my role. So I was basically making sure everything ran smoothly, along with other administrators, where the consoles were not having disconnect issues. Everybody's got the team that they're supposed to have. The competitors have access to any and every player. And when you have that many consoles, that many platforms, and you have certain types of consoles, they're kind of like, I don't want to say modded consoles, but there's something special to them. As some constructive criticism, I'm not sure if they can change this in the future, how easy, how complicated. I would recommend 24-inch monitors instead of 30-inch monitors. If you've been watching the live stream, those are big screens that these guys are playing on. And I just feel that 24 is the standard for competitive gaming. I also made sure competitors got some warm-up time, everything was working good. Do you have any questions? Going over a bunch of details, just making sure the event ran smoothly on a player-to-player basis. Because I was an administrator, I did not have the ability to film a bunch of content because it's kind of a conflict of interest. How am I setting this up or running this event, and then Mike's in the corner filming as well? So I'm going to show you some of the content I gathered, and then I'm going to do the full recap following that content. I've got a couple different interviews and just meeting up with different people. I'm not a hardcore vlogger. A lot of times I get caught up in the moment, and the first thing I do is not pull out my phone or my camera and start filming, and maybe that's something I need to change, but that's just how I am. A lot of times I want to enjoy the moment for what it is versus, oh, I gotta capture this. If you have any questions about the event or just for myself, put them down below in the comments. But without further ado, let's get into this.
So anyways, we're here working the event. I'll tell you what, it looks amazing. Hopefully I slide into that Vancouver slot, so I'm not working it. I'm on the stage, hopefully putting on a good performance. I think we're going to play football tonight. We're going to have to work around a lot of these events. I don't know what I can show or not show. You see the dirty mustache in there, right? I grow the same dirty mustache, unfortunately. And I don't even get to speak Spanish out of it either, so I don't get the benefits. Scav said he's only rooting for the Mexicans. Y'all see an event like this? This is changing everything for esports. I don't know if y'all see behind me or not, but from when we started playing competitive FIFA to where we're at now, this is a production. Not just financially backing, but the live streams and everything overall.
We used to have an, actually we can't even talk about, what was our old Dirty Snood?
I don't know
we can't allude to anything else, but the Dirty Snood partnership was strong back in the day.
Who are your top 3 Xbox? And then what do you know about PlayStation? PlayStation's been a toss-up. I can't tell you that I have a favorite on PlayStation.
To be honest, I've still got a lot of research to do ahead of tomorrow tonight, but the people I know that I've looked at online, and I know obviously a man's decent, so I'm looking out for him. Alexander looks good, with a K. I've seen him online popping up pretty much every week. He's always up there. Well, I know we've got Costella.
Yep.
He's got people that have done anything before. Like we saw Abdul Ashari last week in Sydney.
He's a safe choice.
He's won a lot of things before he's competed. So I feel like those guys generally. But then when you look to something like Paris, we had some big names crash out. But I feel like there's less big names at this event, so I expect the people that we know about to be there or thereabouts. With that, I think a lot of people felt like the only playing once in the group stage is a bit unfair. Like, I think that's something people want to change.
Harry, I think, make a statement or task where they said, what if they got...
Boras is not a fan of it, for sure. Like, they like to do 2 legs or whatever. And I think if we had more time, that would definitely be what happens. But these guys, EA are trying to cram it all in one day at the moment. And that's one of the things you lose out on. You just don't get multiple tries. So that's, for me, why anyone can win. You just got one good game. Well, I could beat you, maybe one out of 10 games.
No, it's possible. Anything can happen. People will keep you so humble.
I'm interested to see the vibe here, because the vibe in Sydney is very relaxed. A lot of people hadn't played in tournaments before. They were just loving you saw the little celebrations.
Yeah, I saw
in
tears.
Paris. Yeah, in Paris it was like you're talking to me.
Yeah.
Like, don't get my face. Very aggressive.
Well, those guys come to win the event. Though.
Yeah,
that's different. All of
pros.
them are individually accomplished in the Paris event. In fact, a lot of people consider that the most competitive FIFA event to date.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a more competitive FIFA event at any point of time.
I probably agree. Well, because of the way you have to qualify now as well. It's the same with FIWC this year. It's going to be the best qualification for it they've had.
Yeah.
So all the events are getting better and more competitive, and as a result, the competitive people are coming to the top. I know from talking to you, obviously we might see you at future events, but past events you've taken part in, you take it very competitively. You get in your opponent's face, you let them know they're in a game. Just like you got to do in real football, you got to do it in esports.
I'm gonna call it right now. If I qualify for Vancouver, I think I'll be the first person to walk across to see my opponent, like a pause and walk.
Oh, I like that.
So you heard it here first. If it doesn't happen here, because I'm telling you, Amon gets really into it. First time someone switches to 5 at the back, I'd love to talk to him about that.
Yeah, I have a little word with him.
I got some thought, losing my control.
Pretty good spread, right? Right? Pretty good spread? Yeah. What y'all end up with? That's a boring plate.
Yeah.
Oh, kind of a boring plane as well.
You wanna know how I got some thought, losing my control. Yeah. You wanna know why I got so cold, got me feeling no. Oh, yeah. Late night, I'm going out. We throwed up in my bands like going 70.
We are live in Miami, Florida.
All my friends, yeah, they out there living this life. See my mama happy now, cause I just bought her this house. I'm balling it out, living this life. I'm beating this hype. Ooh, I'm flexing with my doobie in my pool. Smoking on that.
All right, Skills, you ready? You ready for this event?
I don't know, man. We're here for the fun, right?
We will see. It's fun when you're winning. That's how I feel.
It's fun. Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, if we lose, it's not gonna be so fun.
Show them a preview of the team. What are you thinking about?
I'm looking like this.
Are you debating the Blues then?
I want y'all to show them. That's my first opponent right there.
Okay.
And look at that thing.
Oh, he's just gonna. Oh man, didn't want to be on video.
He's not trying to show the dirty viewers what it's looking like.
Who else are you playing against? Who else is in the group?
I got
right here, right?
São Paulo, Brazil, right here. This man, the beast.
Yeah. I like his jersey. He's got a nice jersey. Let's see the team. What are we rocking?
My team?
Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot of Blues today, man.
Yes.
And last up, Costello, you want to be on camera? What's up, man?
Represent. I just want to talk about this guy.
This man's got the flag joint strong.
That guy over there, man. Look, he's being all calm and like he's trying. He's giving me the eyes, man. He's trying.
No, he's leaning back because he just ate a donut, man. I saw him over there. He's donut hunting.
Bagel. A bagel.
Forget the money. It's all about the competition. You can put that on a shirt.
You can put that on.
Tell me about the PS4, because that's something people ask me about, and I can't even do a valid prediction because so many of the guys just don't have LAN experience, which makes it where I could take the online leaderboard, but it's hard to apply that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really competitive, the PS4 scene. A lot of people don't think so, but I think the difference between Xbox is just the legends, and a lot of people say Xbox has the better players, but I think PS4 could really overtake it.
Who do you think are favorites to win this event? Because I'm telling you, people don't know. If I look through my comments, I talk to people.
Honestly, knowing some of the PS4 guys, I think the favorite would be Diddy Crucito.
Okay.
I think he'd definitely be the favorite. I think he's the better player out of all of them and has the most composure out of most of us.
Have you played against him?
I think I might have played against him once in FUT Champs, but yeah, honestly, I don't remember. There's only a couple guys I played here, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the best avoider in FUT Champs, kind of.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I think it's gonna be really tough groups. You know, like we saw in Paris, most of the guys that were favorites didn't even make it out of the group stage. So.
Well, I mean, in that, all the players that are at that event too have so much experience for the most part. Like, when I look at the Gorilla matchup and people get on kind of Gorilla not progressing, I was like, did you see the group that he's in? You have a multi-world champion in August who didn't go through. You have Rocky, who's won every event in France for like the last 2 years. Is no slouch. And then the Bullet guy played like the 5 at the back, the park, the bus, the nastiness. You know, where he took it where it's no longer about who's necessarily the best, but maybe with a lucky bounce.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's kind of surprising, but I think anyone can win the tournament. Honestly, anyone can win a game.
All right. So who else other than Diddy? If you had to give us 3,
Diddy?
3 names outside of yourself, of course, because you know you're the clearly
I'm gonna win regardless. But I think top 3 would probably be Diddy, Camilo, and last but not least, I'll probably go this boy right here.
See, they're good friends. Look at his mustache. He actually lined up this man's mustache as well, and that's how they became such good friends. You know.
Props to my boy over there.
Yeah.
So everyone's sleeping on the PlayStation guy, so I hope we pull this victory back.
I'll tell you what, if the PlayStation guy beats the Xbox guy, you're gonna have some real, some real bragging rights there for a second, because that hasn't happened yet. It's been Xbox across the board.
Exactly. One of us PlayStation guys got to do it. But I'd say my boy Cap over there, he's my sparring partner. He's pretty good, so I know what he's all about. My first game. And then based on records, FUT Champions, you got to say Diddy. And based on what I hear so far, boy over there, Camilo's pretty good.
I'm here with Costello. Many people would say that you're a favorite to win the event. 5-time FIFA Interactive World Cup finalist. Talk to me. What's going through your mind? This is the biggest event in terms of setup. I don't know if you've been down there yet, but even with the Interactive World Cup, I'm telling you this is going to have a little bit of a different feel.
I already feel it from the whole aspect of what's going on. I just trying to be cool, calm, and collective, and have experience under my belt, so that's always a plus. Just gotta take one game at a time and just go at it.
Is there any way that you prep for events? Like, you're going to play tough matches, a lot of single elimination too, kind of with FIFA Interactive World Cup. Even this in group stage, you play one game. It's not a best of 3, it's not aggregate, it's a one-off. So if you don't get your best performance then, it doesn't really matter what you did prior.
My prep coming into tournaments, not overplaying, so I actually maybe play 2 or 3 games before I fly out to an event. So I don't overplay and overthink my tactics, so that's what I just do.
Basically keeping what got you here.
Yeah.
And even here, have you played a couple warm-up games? You're chilling?
I played against Javi from Colombia. It went well. I played well. Just gotta focus on my game and not worry about the other players' tactics and formations. Just worry about your game and I'll do fine.
If you had to put the 3 toughest competitors outside of yourself, what would the list look like? You don't have to put it in order, just the 3 that, these guys are capable of winning an event.
I'm gonna say there's like 2-3 Brazilians that are like the hidden talent that no one talks about.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Now. South America's not getting the love, but so you should not sleep on them.
Watch out for them, and then Javi from Colombia is really good. He placed 2nd at the LA FIA.
I think that was 2012.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then Aman, of course, from his recent signing from Roma. So you got to watch out for those players. PS4, I have no idea. I think did a Hectic Jukes. Is Jukes here?
He's not coming. That was one of the few people we all knew, just because you could see his gameplay.
What happened to him?
I don't have the details. I think Jukes had personal reasons, but I don't have insider info on that.
And the other, Diddy Cristiano. That's the other guy. Probably.
Yeah, a lot of people talked about him being a favorite.
40 every week.
And we saw Marbs isn't here as well. Marbs had qualified. Do you have any info on that? Because I don't.
I don't either.
I was really surprised because we kind of talked about it as a joke. Whatever happens in life, you can count on Marbs getting 38+ wins, right? Like every weekend he gets 38+ wins. Doesn't matter what happens. Disconnections, lose the first 2 games.
I played him last weekend. On the weekend he beat me.
Yeah. I lost to him in the weekend league too. I'm telling you, Marbs are really good players. It's the same result, 2-1. Like I think at 88th or 90th minute.
Forget about Marbs.
Yeah. So that would have been one of my sleeper picks. Maybe not a sleeper, but someone to be on the watch for. I've never seen him at an event, but I know that he could play the game well. Like he sees the game well.
And people are going to be shocked because people are not going to know like the American region compared to the Europe region. There's like a lot of hidden talent here. Like we said, the Brazilian. Watch out for the Brazilians. That's all I have to say. Watch
Maybe that's another shirt. I like that. Yo, watch out for the Brazilians.
Let's ask you a question. Are you gonna compete next season?
I think I have a spot next season. You finished right above me.
Season 2, right?
Yeah, because I was 15th, you were 14th.
Okay.
There's gonna be 3 players here that will qualify for Berlin, which means they could also.
There's a live event that day.
In New York, right?
Yeah, based off the rank off the leaderboard.
I mean, I don't have confirmation, but based on who's popped up, and the fact that nobody that I know that's in the top 12, top 16 has gotten an invitation, then surely that's part of it. But I think I'll be in Canada. Who knows? EA is EA, right?
Yeah.
Like, until you have that email or a flight booked, you shouldn't get.
Yeah, you should get it because 3 from here. There's 1 live qualifier.
And there's 16 slots guaranteed.
And people always back out like Marbs and stuff like that.
Yeah, Marbs, if you're watching this, if this makes it into a video, I want to know what happened, bro. Like, people are curious because there's a lot of hype on Marbs this year if you've been following the online. He's one of the most consistent dudes.
Has he played constantly, like every year?
I don't think this is his first year playing FIFA or anything like that, but I've never noticed him on the leaderboards in other years. But I've seen him in Twitch chats and stuff, so he's been around.
Let's do the recap. And if I had more time, I believe that myself and AA9SKILLZ would have been able to kind of do this together. But I was at the event 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the way I booked my flights was this is a work trip, not a chill and hang out and spend a lot of time in Miami. Just wasn't put together that way. I wanted to get back, live stream, preparation. I didn't have a lot of videos scheduled. And in the first group, and I'm going to start with the Xbox and then we're going to go to the PlayStation, we had Alexander and Piero from Mexico. They were first and second in that group. And we had a forfeit in that group because Max was underage. And I'm not sure who's at fault with this age restriction. I know that you have to be 16 years old to compete in the FUT Champions events, okay? And I think Max was 14. However, I don't know if there was any deception or lying on his end. I just don't have the details in terms of whose mistake this might be. Maybe it's a group effort, but that's why you had a forfeit in that group. We also had 2 no-shows that I think are notable. I'm sure there was more, but on the Xbox, Marbs did not come to the event. Neither did Hectic Jukes on the PlayStation end. And you would think they'd want to come because these guys always finish towards the top. I did talk to Jukes very briefly on a DM, and he said he had personal issues. And I'm not going to dive into, oh, tell me more. I hope that we see him in Canada. Just because I think Jukes has a really clean gameplay if you've watched his live streams. And I want to see it in a LAN event. And a lot of people, I'm sure, want to see it in a LAN event. Back to Group 1, Alexander and Piero. Piero, out of Mexico, very attacking player. Almost a YOLO player. I've actually played against him online, so I have some experience against this guy. But he's all in your face, back and forth, plays with emotion. I like him. He's got a good personality to him. Alexander is somebody that you always see topping the charts. He is a very heavy possession player. Next group, we had RA FIFA, who ended up winning the event. The Brazilian played great throughout the entire event. Saw a couple comebacks from him, but for the most part, he was in control. Just the best pressure player we saw at this event, and that's crazy because Amon's in that group, but that's kind of like Amon's MO, is that he is in your face, very aggressive, and RA was even better. He was even better than Amon with the pressure and winning every 50-50. I don't think there was a better tackler at this event either. So best pressure player and best tackler. And when I talk about tackles, I'm talking about making manual tackles. Maybe his opponent got a through ball, and then you have to make a play. Every single time, he was good money. And it showed in the event. You could see his confidence growing. So congrats to him on winning the entire event. I think he deserved it. And he played consistent at every level. And that's what's important when you go to a LAN event, is getting not just the best you in 1 game or 2 games, but every game. Being at this top tier, so you give yourself a chance to win, a chance to go to penalties, a chance to slip out of there with a W. Because the games are always going to be tight. And if you look at the score lines, you're going to see very few matches that were blowouts. Group 3, we've got Janos and Renato. Group 4, or I guess it could be called Group D, This actually might have been the group to watch in terms of the group stage. I just had a lot of interest in this group. We had AA9SKILLZ, you had Diego, who I want to say was at the FIFA Interactive World Cup 2016. You had Kid Mamito, who was probably the underdog or the surprise choice. If I was making a prediction vlog and you said, hey, there's going to be one American that's going to finish in the top 3, who do you think it's going to be? Kid Mamito would not be my guy. He's from Houston. Clap it up, my man. And then we also had Costello, who's been to 5 FIFA Interactive World Cups. So you had plenty of favorites, and then a lot of people were interested in AA9SKILLZ, even myself. I want to see how he was going to perform in a LAN event. I didn't think he did bad either. He gave up some long shots versus Kid Mamito if you're watching the games. Had a 1-0 loss to Costello, and he tied, I think he tied Diego 0-0. I'd have to double check the results. Either way, he didn't progress, but it's his first showing in the event. I know all eyes were on this group, and I just think it ended up being a very fun group to watch in terms of the gameplay and the matchups. Let's talk about the bracket play, and remember, I'm going to talk about the PS4 as well, even though I do want to be open and transparent. I'm not as versed in the PS4 scene, and I don't think anybody knew quite as much. Even when I talked to some of the PS4 players, they couldn't give you favorites other than guys based on online results, because you just didn't know what to really expect because these guys don't have LAN experience. So we can talk about, oh, he finished with this many wins or that many wins, but how that's going to correlate or translate into tournament placement or seeding or winning events, it's tough to say. Once you get to the event, anything can happen, and this is not even a seeded tournament. So everybody got drawn into groups randomly. So we saw Alexander beat Amon 1-0. I think this is a good game for Alexander. I think his goal was a nice goal. A little bit lucky. It went through a bunch of players. I tweeted it out. But overall, I thought that he controlled the game really well versus Amon. Janos had the penalty kick matchup versus Diego, the Brazilian. That was a tight game. And following that, it was crazy though. Janos killed Alexander. And this is one thing I will say as a critique. If you're watching the video, Alexander, this is where I saw him struggle in the tournament. If he ever went down, he always had a problem. So basically, if you're playing and it's 0-0 or Alexander's ahead, oh man, he's amazing. He's incredible. I'm not saying he's bad the other way, but you can see the pace change. When he feels like he has to chase a game, he started giving up more goals. So Janos won 5-0 versus Alexander, who was the #1 ranked player for this qualifier, or at least online. I believe he was #1. Bottom half of the bracket, Piero losing to Raw FIFA. It was a good game, actually. I watched that complete game. That was in my pod or my section. Renato and Kid Mamito. Kid Mamito slipped out of there with a W. He was very consistent in this tournament. In fact, if you wanted to place top 3, it's not possible for you to lack consistency. You just won't get there, not with how this is set up. Raw FIFA beat Kid Mamito, and then in the semis, Janos got killed by Raw FIFA. And I will say this, Janos' style works so good versus almost everyone, but not against Raw FIFA. There was a clear clash of styles. I think the pressure that Raw FIFA brought, it really bothered Janos. And you could see it when you were watching the games, that he was frustrated, that he was having trouble breaking him down, and even his defense was open. It was just a poor matchup for him. Remember, Amon went down early, and then he eliminated Diego, the Brazilian, who had lost versus Janos on penalty kicks. So see how close things can really be? And then Piero was eliminated by Renato. Neither of those players, I feel like they didn't get a ton of exposure in the event. It would have been another underdog kind of progressing through. And then Kid Mamito and Amon played a crazy game. Amon ended up getting the equalizer in like the 88th minute. They went to penalty kicks. Kid Mamito, thumbs up on your penalties too, man. Looked very confident. Definitely had a plan. And then Alexander, I didn't get to watch this game because it was happening on the other pod, but 3-0 victory. I think he scored early. I heard it over the commentators. And I'm telling you, if you go down early versus Alexander, forget about it. You're just not going to win that match. He's a closeout player. In the decider, where you could guarantee yourself top 3, which would qualify you for Berlin, you had Kid Mamito versus Alexander. Kid Mamito scored 2 goals early on. Alexander actually was very unlucky not to score. He had an open net. I'm talking keeper is on the floor, and he scuffed it. I want to say about the 75th minute, and Kid Mamito ended up winning 2-0. I think that was the moment, though, that we all knew Kid Mamito was probably going to win this game, because it messes with you mentally. And then Janos beat Kid Mamito. Good game there, 2-1. But at the end of the day, top 3 qualify. And as I stated, we saw Raw FIFA. That Janos matchup was just a big advantage for him. I'm telling you, there was a style clash that favored him. In the entire tournament, I don't think he beat anybody with a bigger spread than Janos, even though Janos had no problem kind of going through a bunch of different types of opponents and controlling the game. He's more of a possession player. Raw FIFA disrupted that because he was so good with the pressure. He was so in his grill, in his face. He made him play a little bit faster. Now let's talk about the PlayStation guys from what I've gathered. And when I talked to people, everyone was mentioning Diddy Crislito. Just because he performed so well online, maybe people had matched up with him. They said they have an expectation. We saw him come second in his group, but at the end of the day, all you got to do, give yourself a chance to get into bracket play and put on for where you're from, your hood, your country, your city, whatever you want to classify it as. We also saw Mizuko from Brazil. I'm telling you, Brazil had a stellar showing. All the Brazilians looked prepared, and they looked very experienced, and I felt like they were been playing a lot of offline events. People neglect to talk about the Brazilian events that they have throughout the year, maybe because it doesn't reach the mainstream market. A lot of Brazilians travel well, and they have, more importantly, in-person experience. And I want to bring this up because US guys don't. I'm just thinking of how many events I've qualified for, but how many of those events have taken part in the US? Only maybe the World Cyber Games National Finals, or if it was a FIFA Interactive World Cup final that was in the US. But for the most part, I don't have tune-ups. I don't have events to practice before I go to the big one, because this is the big event. This FUT Champions joint, this is the one, and we just don't have any events prior to this, nothing leading up to give you some practice to get under your belt. And that's what the Brazilians do. They have a lot of tournaments that happen in Brazil with big turnouts, so you're going to get some matches. You're going to see, oh, this works here in a LAN event, oh, this didn't work, because it's not the same as playing online. Anyone who's played LAN events, they're a co-sign that, okay? And the other two groups, we saw Oli McClan, the Chile man. I've met you before too. I knew that I recognized him. I was like, man, where's this guy from? I want to say I met him when I went to an event in Santiago, Chile, but it could have been a WCG before that. I know that he's been to a World Cyber Games. And then we had Lucas Rep, who actually ends up winning this event, another Brazilian. JKO, who I actually spoke to quite a bit, worked on his console a little bit. That doesn't mean I helped him at any... It was in the practice consoles anyway. And then we had Captain 11. And when we're discussing these players, I just don't know anything about them in terms of background information. I'd love to say that I did. First matchup, we have Mizuko versus Diddy Crislito. Penalty kicks. Could have gone either way. Fun game to watch. I enjoyed it. We also saw a pretty easy win for Oli McClan. I feel like I'm saying his name wrong. He won convincingly, and then he also beat Mizuko, so he's progressing. He's looking really good. Diddy Crislito just went to penalties, and then he had to do it again, but this time he came out the victor. I'm telling you, the penalty kicks were real. JKO eliminates Mo. And now in the second round, you've got Diddy Crislito in a high-scoring affair. Sweet deal. He actually was a very attacking player, even though you see his penalties and some of these low-scoring games from him or the penalty kick matches. I felt like he was going back and forth. It's just a matter of finishing your chances. Mizuku slips out of there against JKO, so we've got a few eliminations. And then we have a rematch. Remember, Diddy Crislito played Mizuko at the very beginning, lost in penalties, and now they're getting matched up again. Mizuko. That was probably the best match of the tournament. 4-3, back and forth, long shots, long shots, long shots. It was amazing. I want to say they had to have 3 or 4 lead changes in that. It was back and forth the whole game. So congrats to both of you guys. I feel bad for Diddy Crislito and actually Alexander. To be 4th place in this event where it's a top 3 qualify for Berlin, that's the worst placement, and I don't mean to put any negativity on you. It's just, it is, because you have to go home and say, damn, I was that close. You're going to rewatch your matches, both on the live stream and mentally, what you remember in terms of mistakes or chances missed over and over again until the next region. And then we saw Oli McClan have to go down. He beat Mizuko, looked good, and then he lost in the final against Lucas. And you guys watched the grand final, Brazilian versus Brazilian. You had Raw FIFA versus Lucas. Overall, I thought the event was smooth. My man Ocho stopped by to watch the final. Big shout out to Ocho Cinco. You guys know he's the self-proclaimed FIFA king. That's up for debate. EA did a great job putting on the event. I felt that they built up the player profiles well. On the administrator side, obviously I was there, but I felt like everything ran smooth. No player can say they had lag or disconnects or button delay. That won't happen. Or that they were treated in any way that was unfair or not just. And that's important, because I've left many events where I felt that wasn't handled correctly. I can remember a FIFA Interactive World Cup. I'm not going to go into too many details about this event because I wasn't live in person for everything that happened, but I just remember the uproar online where there was a matchup and one of the players beat the other player. It was like the 88th minute. He was up 1-0. And that guy, the one that was losing, said his controller wasn't working properly in the 88th minute. And then they made him replay. They had to replay the whole game, and the guy that was losing prior then got the win in the new game, and he progressed in the tournament in a single elimination type tournament. That's just so unfair, and that's a lack of experience or poor administrators. Were you not watching the game? If you have a problem with your controller, you let me know right when the game starts. And people did a good job of handling that. For example, we saw red cards, so you had to play like a really quick game, go in, exit back out. We also saw issues, maybe like they moved something around on their team, and the players noticed right when they were going into the game. So perfect. We exit back out. We go back in. I want everything to be perfect, and that was kind of my role. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Everything's good. Is it working right? Cool. Let's do this. I want this to be a pro event that caters towards the pro, where you can never say, "Oh man, this interfered with my chance to win," or "This was so much different than when I played at home because we had connection issues," or the screen was tearing. Have you ever had a monitor tear? That's not a good look. And that just wasn't a problem. So congrats to Raw FIFA. Congrats to Lucas. Everybody at the event, man. I was so happy to meet so many of you guys. Everybody's very friendly. I appreciate it. It was awesome. I didn't realize how many people watch my videos out of the competitive scene. So that's sick. But until next time, my friends. Peace.